Back for another edition of Tide Talks presented by RWJ Barnabas Health, proud to be the official healthcare system of Princeton Athletics. Joining us from her home not far from campus in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, Princeton women's tennis sophomore Brianna Shvets. Brianna, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I want to talk to you about this past season. I know you guys were having sort of a historic season at Princeton, ranked in the top 15, 10-3 as a team. Walk me through the emotion of having the second half of your spring season wiped out.
Yeah, so I think the day we found out that there was going to be no more season and that all Ivy sports were kind of suspended, that day we actually had smaller group practices, and right before practice I got a email notification, and I was kind of rushing to court, so I didn't really pay too much attention. But as we were practicing and warming up, some of the girls started talking about it, and we started to kind of piece things together, and we realized that maybe the season was going to come to the end. But we were still hopeful about NCAAs, and I think at that point, like by the warm-up, the coaches kind of sensed that we were starting to really worry about all the uncertainties about our season and what this might mean for us as a team, because we were doing so well and we had so much momentum. So I'll definitely never forget that day. And later we had a team meeting, and we kind of met in our locker room, and all the coaches and a lot of different staff members came and kind of talked to us and tried to give us all the information they had, which was just always changing like every instant. Because literally the day before we thought that, like maybe we won't be able to go to Florida, but we were still hopeful we could go to our William and Mary trip for spring break. So just so much happened in what felt like an hour. So it was pretty intense, I would say. But I don't know if I still really can believe that the season is over, but it is what it is. So, yeah.
Let's talk about some of the highlights, because you don't want to take away from what your team accomplished just because you didn't get to necessarily take it all the way to the finish line. You finished this season ranked in the top 25 individually, 6 victories over ranked opponents. I want to go back to your victory against Pepperdine. Ashley Leahy, the #1 ranked singles player in the country. Take us through what I have to imagine was the highlight of your career individually up to this point.
Yeah, I definitely say so. It was kind of interesting. So when we went into the match, I think it was fair to say that like most of us knew Pepperdine was ranked pretty high. I personally don't love looking at rankings, especially in the beginning of the season. Everything's changing so much. So I really just try to focus on myself. And I didn't realize that Ashley Leahy was #1. She was a senior, so I didn't know her too well. She's from California, if I'm not mistaken. So I never played her in juniors or anything. So I kind of just went into the match blindly, tried to focus on myself. First few games, I tried to figure out her game, what she liked, what she didn't like. But yeah, I mean, afterwards, Michelle Sirocco actually was like, "Bri, like, how does it feel to like take down Ashley Leahy?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's like great, I guess, yeah." But then it clicked, and all my teammates told me that she was #1. So after that, I was shocked and totally so stoked and just very proud. And then the team right after that quickly won 4-0. So it was just definitely my favorite moment of the season.
Let's talk about doubles. You had a good run this year with your partner Natalie Rotoloso on the doubles circuit. You two 12-2 playing together. Why do you two work so well together?
I'm going to be honest. I got to give the credit to Nat, because she's just the best doubles partner. She just is so calm and confident, and she's so smart. She really understands how to play doubles, and I think that's super helpful. And I think our styles just match up. She likes to kind of finish the balls at net, and I think I'm more comfortable from the baseline, or that's traditionally my strength. So all I kind of do is try to set her up, and I know she'll do something magical up at net, because, I mean, her hands are just unreal. So I'm super lucky to play with her. And I think also what was really helpful is my old doubles partner last year, Nicole Calhorn, played very similarly to Nat. So it was just kind of an easy transition for me, I think. which we were really lucky because usually when you lose a senior, especially your doubles partner, it's kind of nerve-wracking. You want to make sure you gel well with the next player. But, I mean, Nat is just incredible. So
You grew up right down the road from Princeton in Pennington. You graduated from Hopewell Valley, so sort of always were around Princeton's campus. At what point did you realize that you had a real chance to go to Princeton and play tennis?
I would say maybe my sophomore year, I kind of realized that my rank was getting pretty high. I finished top 3 in the recruiting class, so I thought that I would have a good chance of getting the coach's attention and trying to get recruited. And I had like fairly good SAT scores, so it was looking like it was going to click for me. And I always knew I wanted to go to some sort of Ivy. Of course, Princeton was my dream. I grew up literally 10 minutes away, so it was awesome that I could go to Princeton. But yeah, I was always only really considering Ivy Leagues, maybe a few other schools, but I definitely always wanted to go to Princeton. So.
Princeton women's tennis sophomore Brianna Shvets joining us from the comfort of her own home. This next segment presented by Conway Comfort Heating and Cooling. And the show and tell segment of this, proof that you were really looking at Princeton from an early age.
Yeah. So kind of my object, I don't know if you guys can see. It's basically this art project. Now that everyone has some extra time, my parents were looking through old boxes and like old baby photos and everything, and they found this, so I thought it'd be perfect. I don't know, it just really shows, I guess, how from a young age I was obsessed with Princeton. It was all I could ever think about, and it's really humbling, I think, and it really kind of puts in perspective how lucky I am, even with all this happening. I mean, this was my childhood dream, and it came true, and I'm so lucky that I've been able to be part of Princeton and Princeton athletics. I mean, I remember going to basketball games, football games, and of course I watched the Princeton women's tennis team, and it feels really awesome to have found this, and I'm happy to share with you guys.
Would have loved to have had a chance to see how far this team could have gone if the season wasn't cut short, but Brianna, good catching up with you, and stay healthy.
Thanks, you too.
It's Princeton women's tennis sophomore Brianna Shvets joining us on today's edition of Tide Talks.